guys got on today? Cool.
Everybody have sound?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
Good, Surinder. How are you, man?
Doing well.
Hey, Mark. Jim Dixon's on. Shiraz. Hi, guys.
Hi there. Too ugly to show you this morning.
Attaboy, Jim.
Yeah.
Honesty goes a long way.
Yeah, too much traffic behind me.
There you
Thanks.
go. Right
Thanks
on.
for doing this now.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. It's our privilege. We just wait a couple more minutes for people to get on. Anybody who tried to get on off of Instagram yesterday, we apologize. It took you to another meeting somewhere else. Our apologies.
All right. People will come on and this will be recorded. So we'll just go ahead and get started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what we wanted to do today is to talk about some of the images and ideas that we know that people are getting. So like I told you yesterday, there's lots of data that I'm collecting just by seeing people's comments and seeing what people are writing and talking about online. And what I think is really important to understand, so through our NLP filter, is that we get these images in our mind. So even though we may or may not be aware of the images that come to mind, every time a word is said, so if I say the word cow, each of you gets a different image in your mind, right? We all have different meanings associated with cows. You know, some of you may have seen a whole herd of cows. Some of you may have seen some cute little cow in your mind, or a cow you know, right? So of course, it's easy to understand that when we say something like that, right away, before you can even think about it, you get this image in your mind. And that's how, whether the image has sounds or feelings associated with it, of course, you can pay more or less attention to. But this happens with absolutely everything, every word that we hear, every experience that we share. And if we don't bring our conscious awareness to those images that are in our mind, we end up at the mercy of them, right? So chances are, had I just said to you guys, hey, you know what, on the way here, I passed a cow on the road.
That would be really bad in Guelph if there was a cow on the road.
You guys all would have had an image of a cow that came to mind, but you likely wouldn't have spent much time noticing it, right? You just would have carried on and then waited for, like, what in the world is she going to say next, you know, or what is she talking about? But unbeknownst to you, or outside of your conscious awareness, there was this image of a cow, and that will have had an effect on you. That may have made some people really happy. It may have made some people really, you know, worried or concerned, or whatever the associations are. So my point here is that as we look through all of the information coming to us from COVID and the way that people are responding and all of the different, you know, groups of people having reactions, we are inundated in our own minds with all of the pictures and ideas that are happening to us that we're sort of at the mercy of if we don't pay attention. So what we're going to address today is to take control of that, to recognize that it's not simply a matter of reframing the whole context, but you can actually reframe single ideas that seem to be in your mind through a very, very simple technique of paying attention to those pictures in our mind.
And especially when we think about the future. So, you know, we're all going to be here on September 1st. COVID will be in our rearview mirror by then. The interesting thing about COVID-19 is the 19, it stands for 2019. So that presupposes there was a 2018 and that there'll be a 2020. But COVID 2019 will be behind us. And so when we think about the future, the images we create in the future can trigger, as Tara said, really strong positive and or negative emotions. Now, those of you who've done NLP training, especially NLP training with us, we always like to demonstrate the moving of like to dislike, right? Like to dislike. When we're talking today, we're talking about taking the image of our future and moving it into a place where we feel confident and strong that, you know, by August or September that we'll be back doing what we're doing, right? And we also can also take this moment to affect the emotional impact of what staying at home means by adjusting the submodalities of those.
This is what we're going to start with. So all of us right now, hopefully are staying at home, right? I mean, the advice from our government, the advice from everyone around us is to stay home and have as little contact as you can. And at this point, the advice truly is not to go out unless you need to. So with the exception of those people who have jobs that are necessary jobs, essential jobs, and of course our grocery shopping and that type of thing, many of us are in this situation when we're staying home. So for some people, I mean, you can see all sorts of people who are taking advantage of it, right? They're talking about all the things that they're going to get done, the renovations they can finally do, the painting, all the, they've already framed this in some really positive way. But I know that there are a lot of other people who are experiencing this idea of being home as something that holds negative connotations. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to do a quick little demo with you just to demonstrate how to do the process. So we're going to use something unrelated to COVID, unrelated to this, so that you can experience what this is like. And then we'll bring it back and we'll connect it to how much control you can actually have about whatever your situation is. So what I'd like you to do now is just with your eyes opened or closed, it's up to you, it doesn't make a difference, whatever you're most comfortable with. But I want you to imagine a picture of yourself. So just take a picture of yourself, and I want you to see yourself at your most motivated.
As you think of being totally motivated in your life, something where you're really excited to do, can you get a picture in your mind's eye right now?
However it comes to your mind, make it even brighter, make it really bright, make it feel really good to you. This is the type of motivation that you have when you're doing your most favorite things, when you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, when you're filled with purpose and excitement.
And adjust the sights and sounds so those feelings are just incredible. Totally motivated.
Now what you're going to do is you're actually going to take that image as you look at it now, and you're going to start to, right now, push it away from you. So you're going to push that image, and I want you to push it away in a way where it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's going to go black and white, dim, and it's all the way across the city now. It's like I don't know, 50 miles away from you, or whatever that is in kilometers. And get that image way far away, teeny, tiny, dim.
Notice how you feel right now.
Take a moment, look inside, notice how motivated you feel in this moment, probably not very. And in a moment from now, not quite yet, but in a moment, you're going to bring that image back to you. So just take a big deep breath right now, and as you exhale that breath, this image is going to come racing back to you, like at the speed of light, and this image is going to come all the way back, all around you. It's going to get big and bright and life-size, and this image of you totally, completely motivated surrounds you right now. It fills you, it's full of color, and you can hear and see everything that you hear and see in this totally motivated state. And as you notice yourself now with this image of yourself all motivated all around you, notice now how motivated you feel. Go inside and notice that right now.
Notice how those feelings are. Those of you who have the cameras on, we can see your facial expressions light up right now. It's kind of fun. And just notice if the image is black and white or color, is it bright or dim, where it's located, and what are the sounds in it right now as you feel totally motivated. Totally motivated.
Now just open your eyes and come back. So those of you that just did that exercise, the cool part of that is that you didn't do anything except change the picture in your head, right? Nothing around you changed, nothing in your thoughts changed, your meaning. What changed was there was this image in your mind that you were able to adjust your own emotional state, your own feeling, just by moving this picture around. So what I'd like you to do now is imagine what we call it complex equivalence. So when we ask people to tell us the complex equivalence of what something means to them, you're going to take the idea or the words staying at home. For you, it may be isolated. For you, it may be crowded. But I want you to make sure right now that you focus singularly on the idea of what it means to stay at home. And I just want to make a note here, it may also be for you the going to work. If you do have an essential job, maybe that's what's causing concern for you. So whatever the concern is, imagine now what that means to you. So as you guys think about this on your own, as an example, it would be, for me, I think about staying home and I have a whole bunch of images and words that come to mind, right? For us, it's pretty crowded. There's 5 of us. It's noisy. It's hard to get away.
14 bunnies, 2 cats.
There's a lot of cleaning to do, you know. So just notice, take a few more seconds here to notice what comes to mind naturally when you think about this idea of staying home. And now what I'd like you to do is notice that there's also going to be an image that appeared to you as you started noticing all of those complex equivalences, all those meanings you attribute to being home.
So as you think of the meaning of being at home, can you get a picture? Get a picture in your mind's eye.
Now, if this is a great picture, if this picture makes you feel really good, if it makes you feel like there's all sorts of stuff that you can get done and that you're at your best already and you're really resourceful, great, lock that picture in. Make sure it's there for you if you do end up in a moment where you don't feel as good about it. You may hit a moment of stress later in the day or tomorrow or as this goes on. So if it's a good picture that makes you feel great, memorize that picture, lock it in. And I'd like you to practice this over the next day or two. Bring this image to mind as many times as you can so that it's there for you, accessible when you need it. You could even put a frame around it. I would put a glittery frame around mine so that I could bring it to mind and see that. And if the image isn't one that you like, if this image for you is one that you don't have any positive feelings or not many around, then change it.
Push it away and notice. Just start pushing it away like Tara did a moment ago with motivation. Push it away, push it out 100 meters, and as things move away from us, they get smaller. And it's harder to see the details. So push that image farther and farther and farther away. So if the image of being at home or having to practice social distancing is disturbing, push it out. And notice that the feelings start to dissipate.
And then create a new image. So decide what would be better for you. You know what would be better for you. Nobody else knows, but you do know what would be best for you. When you think about staying home, when you think about this whole situation or whatever your needs are, think about what state you need within yourself to make the absolute best of this. And create an image. So you want to see what you would see if you felt at your best in this situation, making the best of this situation. Feel what you would feel, hear what you would hear. You can even smell what you would smell. If you were in your best possible place dealing with this situation. And now create an image that reflects that best state for you. And really take your time, make it detailed if there are details to put in there. Even if there are words, sometimes I'll actually drop words into the image so that those words get associated with it. And create an image that makes you feel good when you look at it. So that this is an image that you can also memorize now, that you can bring to mind whenever you need it. So when you have that image now, so whether you began with one that was great and you're going to lock it in to be there for you whenever you need it, or if you had to recreate one that had even more positive attributes to it, lock it in place and know that your unconscious mind will memorize it exactly. Your unconscious mind has a photographic memory of what this looks like right now. And if you lock in this state and lock in this image, it's going to be there for you whenever you need it. My suggestion would be maybe write a little, take a pen and put a little dot on your finger or a string around your finger, like old school. And every single time you look at that today and tomorrow, that gives you an opportunity, even if you aren't in a bad place, if you're in a fantastic place, bring this image to mind and say to yourself, this is how I'm going to be in this situation.
Lisa Feldman Barrett, the famous researcher from Northeastern University, has a book that's called How Emotions Are Made. And she has now documented over her 25-year career that our emotions are not in reaction to a stimulus, they're actually a prediction of how we should behave when we encounter the stimulus. So doing what Tara says, taking this beautiful image of what being at home could mean and will mean for you, and then practicing it. So with your eyes closed, go out to tomorrow or the day after. Imagine you could float out into the future, if you will, and down into tomorrow or next week, and just bring this image to mind. And so what you're now doing is you're teaching your brain to predict that when I'm at home tomorrow, I'm going to be in a good, resourceful state. I'm going to be able to do the things I want to do the way I want to do them. I'm going to make the best of this situation. And this is called future pacing. And this is sort of where Tara and I spend a lot of time working in the convergence of NLP and timeline therapy and the mainstream research that's out there. So Lisa Feldman Barrett, again, how emotions are made. So when the technique Tara just shared with you is now giving our brain a new prediction of how we should feel given these circumstances. And the more we teach our brain to predict what we want instead of what we don't want, the more control we exercise over our lives, and the more calm and peace we can be, even in these adverse times, right? If that makes sense to everybody.
And it does.
And it does. So I sent a text to everybody. If you guys have questions as we go along, type them in. We'll address questions. I could unmute all your mics at one time, and that would be fun, but maybe not. Right on. So if you do have a question, type it in.
If not, then meet us here tomorrow. I think we're probably going to.
Future facing again.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, yesterday we shared the anxiety model, which I call the positive future, installing positive futures. And it really is an amalgam of bringing together of NLP and timeline therapy being NLP, and allows us to go out in the future. And again, it also brings in Lisa Feldman Barrett's work, that when we go out and we experience the successful completion of anything in our imagination, we're teaching our brain to predict that we're going to have a successful outcome. And again, the more we can control what our brain predicts, because it predicts based on history, the more control we have on our life. So we'll close this session with another guided positive future.
This time we're going to do a really near future one. So this time we're just going to go out 24 hours.
Oh boy.
So this is fun to be able to use these techniques in different contexts. So no matter what you have going on in your life, whether you anticipate, it's going to be nothing but a party for the next 24 hours, as it is at our house because it's a birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, we're having a virtual birthday party tomorrow.
Or if you've got some challenges, some stresses ahead of you that you've got to deal with in the next 24 hours. Either way, we're going to run this anxiety model, on the next 24 hours, okay? So whether you're watching this as a recording or whether you're watching this live, I would invite you just to close your eyes for a moment. This will just take us 1 minute. So let everything go and just move inside your body now. Just for a moment, go inward. And as you go inward, imagine what would be the successful completion of the next 24 hours of your life. Just take a moment to notice what would be the best possible way for you to feel about yourself 24 hours from now.
Let's make it a little longer. Let's make it 9 o'clock tomorrow night.
So 9 o'clock tomorrow night. And just notice what the successful completion today and tomorrow. And then allow yourself now to notice how you're going to feel 15 minutes after the successful completion of that period of time. And drop right down into your body and notice how good you're going to feel. If you've been able to accomplish state of mind, the emotional state management, whatever projects, accomplishments, resting, relaxing, energized, whatever makes sense for you. And notice how good you're going to feel 15 minutes after you've completed this period of time. And then float up above, look down at your body. In that moment, notice yourself, notice your expression, your posture, how good you're going to feel. And then when you're ready, just turn and look back toward now. Float all the way back to now. Come back into the room and open your eyes. Beautiful. All right.
Thank you guys for joining us today. We'll be here tomorrow at 11 and every weekday for however long this goes on. So thank you guys. Have a great 24 hours. We'll check in tomorrow.